According to the Australian Museum and the Aquarium of the Pacific Ocean, stonefish are one of the most deadliest fish in our oceans. Hi, my name is Kendall Baker, and my family loves to go on vacations, especially on the beach. One time we were getting ready to go on the Caribbean. That is Carnival Caribbean. And I wanted to look up the fish that we might see on one of the beaches in the Caribbean. Like the actual place, not the cruise. I was in shock to find stonefish on this list of the things to look out for on the beach. We'll get into that later though. Today, I'll be informing you about the stonefish's location and what they look like. And how you can the dangers of stonefish and coming in contact with one. You need to know this information so you can stay vigilant on the beach and so you can maybe save a life. Maybe it be yours, maybe it be mine, maybe it be someone else's. But first, let's talk about their location. According to oceana.org, the most common location the stonefish reside are the Indian Ocean, Australia's Great Barrier Reef, the Red Sea, the Pacific Ocean, and that's about all of them. That all the most common, at least. Now this is where it kind of gets weird, because lately, like in 2022, Medline Plus, a U.S. government agency and website, have found that stonefish not only love to live on warm coastal shores, they have found stonefish in places like the Gulf of Mexico or America, and in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, places that most Americans like to vacation. Now that you know their most generalized locations, it's important that you know their habitat. Now, according to Freya Nibbs, a researcher at the Tynemouth Aquarium in the UK, stonefish live on rubble or coral bottoms. They're camouflaged predators, so they hide under rocks, ledges, and sometimes in the sand. Now that we have a better understanding about where they are and how can you really spot one? One thing to point out is that they are two different types of stonefish. According to Mark McGrother, who works in research at the Australian Museum, the reef stonefish have eyes that are eye bridges that are deeply separated and have like a big, deep eye bridge. It's called a depression. However, an estuary stonefish have an elevated, more eye bridge. It's that separates the eyes more, and it's really bony. Now, the stonefish are usually the color of common coral or stones you might find on the shore. Brown, beige, gray, and sometimes you might see patches of yellow, red, and orange. Stonefish have many hidden needles on their body, especially the dorsal fins. Now that you know how to recognize what stonefish look like, let's look at why they are dangerous. Now, one thing in each source I've brought up talks about how terrible it is to come in contact with one of these needles. What makes the venom so toxic? Well, the U.S. government have found that there are high levels of the chemical virocotoxin and a plethora of life-threatening symptoms. A couple to name are the failure of organs, like your organs start shutting down, like slowly, like kind of quickly, but slowly at the same time. Your skin starts bleeding, you'll start getting seizures, and eventually you'll get paralysis. You'll get difficulty of breathing, nausea, and vomiting. Now, it'll be cruel to tell you what not to do in a situation like this. So, this is what you do if you or anyone should come into contact with one of these deadly needles of the stonefish. You should first document the person's age, weight, condition, the time of the sting, and the location of the sting. Then you call the local poison control center for further instructions and have someone else call 911. The most important misconception is that you should pee on it like any other sting. Do not do that at all. You will make the infection worse. In conclusion, I have talked to you about the location, description, and the precautions of coming into contact of a stonefish. I hope this will give you a better understanding of the dangers of a stonefish and that this information may help you save a life.